Good morning, class. Welcome to part 2 of figurative language. Hopefully part 1 went well for you guys and you guys understood everything. Let's start by reviewing our notes. So I want you to go ahead and click on figurative language part 2 Cornell notes, please, so you can follow along with me. I'm going to pull it up myself. Okay. So as a review, again, figurative language is when you use words or phrases that don't have its literal everyday meaning. They're just phrases that have a different type of meaning, doesn't match up with its literal meaning. That's what makes it really confusing. Authors use figurative language to make their writing more interesting. They use it to add vivid details, use it to elicit emotions for us, and also they use it to help us form mental images of what they're trying to convey. For part 1, we focus on 4 types of figurative language. First, we have a simile. Now, a simile is a comparison of two unlike things using the words like or as. So, she is as blind as a bat, saying that someone's blind, right? Or he runs as fast as lightning. The keywords as or like are in there. That is different from a metaphor, which is also a comparison of two unlike things. But in a metaphor, we don't use as or like. We make a direct comparison. We just say something is something else. She is a busy bee, right? Is a busy bee. We don't say she's as busy as a bee. She is a busy bee. Then we have alliteration, which has to do with the repetition of the same beginning sounds in a sentence. It can be a whole sentence, or it can be as little as 2 words. Lastly, we covered hyperbole, which are obvious exaggerations. They are usually impossible in nature. This one is a little tough to identify because we exaggerate sometimes without even realizing it, right? Like she's got tons of money. That sounds normal to us, but it's actually kind of impossible in nature to have that much money. That's hyperbole. Today, we're going to focus on 4 more types of figurative language to finish this out. First, we have an oxymoron. Now, the best way that I remember what an oxymoron is, I think of the word moron itself, right? A moron is someone who doesn't make sense, someone who doesn't know what they're talking about. So in an oxymoron, you have 2 contradictory words right next to each other. Contradictory are opposite words, okay? An oxymoron usually creates some impression of wonder, and it's usually used when someone's trying to be witty or to make someone laugh. Here's an example for you. She's pretty ugly. First of all, not a nice thing to say, but that's an oxymoron because pretty and ugly are contradictory words. They're opposite words, yet they're right next to each other, and it somehow makes sense to us. Pretty ugly. Now, the next sentence I have for you is, saying goodbye on the last day of school was bittersweet. Can you please underline the oxymoron for me? You should have underlined bittersweet. Because again, there are 2 words, bitter and sweet, that are opposite of each other, that are contradictory of each other. All right, moving on. We have personification. The way I remember this is the word person. The word person is in personification. Personification is a type of figurative language where non-living things, so inanimate things, are given human qualities. So we give a personal quality to an object. That's personification. Writers use personification to establish mood or build imagery. I have an example for you. My heart was racing during that exam. This statement simply means that I was nervous during my test, which we can all relate to. However, it's personification because racing is something humans do. That's a human quality, but a heart can't actually or physically race. A heart is not out there lining up and waiting for 1, 2, and 3 and running, okay? So that's personification. We're giving our human quality to an object. All right, the next example I have for you. The cupcake was calling my name. This is personification Because can a cupcake actually call someone? Can a cupcake get on a phone and call our names? Can a cupcake just randomly say, hey, Dylan, come eat me? No. Okay? A cupcake was calling my name. It just simply means that you wanted to eat that cupcake. But that's personification, because calling is something we humans do, not something an object like a cupcake can do. Next, we have an idiom. An idiom is, the best way to explain it is, an idiom is figurative language. It's just one of those phrases where it doesn't have its literal meaning. It's just those phrases, we just somehow know it through conversation, through reading, just growing up in our culture. We know these idioms. And that's what makes it so hard for people who come to America at a later age, right? Because they didn't grow up with idioms like it's raining cats and dogs. You and I know what that means, but literally cats and dogs aren't falling from the sky. So I have an example for you. Oh, wow, it's Dylan again. I'm sorry, Dylan, I'm not picking on you. For some reason, I thought of your name. Dylan is a couch potato. Now, when you hear the idiom, couch potato, you know it means that someone's being lazy or someone isn't active. They're not literally a couch made out of potatoes. That is impossible. Well, not impossible, but that's weird. A couch potato is an idiom. It's a phrase that doesn't have its literal meaning. Another one, the next example. Evelyn had cold feet before the concert. Can you please underline the idiom in that sentence? You should have underlined cold feet. Now, cold feet, having cold feet before a big event, that's just a term for saying somebody's nervous, right? Having cold feet before a concert, cold feet before a wedding. Hopefully none of us are ever in that position, but it just means we're nervous and we're rethinking things. Our feet aren't literally cold. It just does not have its literal meaning. It's a figurative meaning. All right, last one. Onomatopoeia. Fun word to say, right? Onomatopoeia. Please say it with me. Onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia. Now, an onomatopoeia imitates the sounds of the word that it represents. I don't want you to confuse this with like a sound. An onomatopoeia isn't simply just a sound. It's not like a dog's bark or a pig's oink. Okay, it is not a sound word. In order for it to be an onomatopoeia, the word actually has to make its own sound. For example, I heard a loud meow from the cat. Meow, that's the actual word, but also the sound. That's why it's onomatopoeia. Next, the birds chirp loudly in the morning. Chirp is a word. But chirp is also the sound that the word makes, right? Birds go chirp, 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 chirp. Chirp is the actual word and the sound, and that's what makes it onomatopoeia. So that's it. Those are the 4 types of figurative language we had left to cover. An oxymoron, when 2 contradictory words are put together. Contradictory, opposite, moron doesn't make sense. Personification, when we give a human a personal quality to an object. An idiom, which is just a phrase that doesn't have its literal meaning. It's just something we know because we've heard of it. And then we have onomatopoeia, a word that imitates its own sound. Those are the 4 types of figurative language. Right now, you're going to spend some time writing a summary on your Cornell notes. Then what I want you to do is, I'm going to pull up in the post. You are going to open and complete your assignment titled Music Hunt Part 2. Okay, and let me open it up right now. This is similar. It's the same assignment as Part 1, but instead of doing it on similes, metaphors, alliteration, and hyperboles, you're going to be practicing on oxymorons, onomatopoeia, idiom, and personification. For each type of figurative language, you are going to find some song lyrics. It can be whatever song you want, whatever artist you want, as long as it's appropriate. That means don't make me uncomfortable, don't make me cringe, don't make me read profanity, as long as it's appropriate. Now, the important part is not just finding the lyrics. Yeah, that's part one, is identifying lyrics that contains figurative language. I want you to explain it and justify it in a way that I know you understand it. Okay, so you would say this is an oxymoron because these two words are opposite each other. Or you would say these lyrics are personification because we're giving this human quality to this object. Okay, be really clear in your explanation so that I know you understand it or not. When you are done with that, you're going to turn it in on our Google Classroom, and then you have other assignments for today. Your other assignments are MobyMax vocabulary. Remember, I want to check your accuracy, check your time, and also the words that you practice. Okay, don't try to play me. It does not take you 30 minutes to practice 10 words. That doesn't make any kind of sense. When you're done with that, you're going to have a study island assignment titled Quarantine and Learn, March 25th, today's date. Remember, your username is your ID, and your password is Peyton, lowercase P-E-Y-T-O-N, if you haven't already changed it. If you change it personally and you can't remember it, send me a text and remind or email me, and I'll get you your password. The last assignment that you have is the actual distance learning packet that I asked you to pick up from school. If you haven't picked it up, you can access it online. I put a link there for you in our Google Classroom post. I want you to work on pages 9 through 15. Because when you log on Friday, we're going to review it as part of, oops, sorry, one of my decorations right here. See, I have some decorations there. One of it just fell. That's weird. Anyways, distance learning packet, I'm sorry, pages 9 through 15. I took a brief look at it. It will be practicing active and passive voice. Remember, that's easy. We know it, okay? Subject, verb, subject. And then also practicing theme, identifying theme. As a reminder, a theme is the message that the author wants you to learn. But a theme is generic. It is not specific to the story. It's something that we can apply to our lives. That is also the topic of your study island assignment. I wanted to make sure it correlated. All of this is due tomorrow by 11:59. Make sure you log back into Google Classroom on Friday whenever you wake up. It'll be posted at 8:30. But I know you guys, I'm sure you're sleeping a lot later and waking up a lot later. So whenever you wake up, just log on, read my instructions, and handle your business. Okay? I hope you guys are doing well. I showed up to school today to pick up a packet. The custodians were deep cleaning our classrooms. It smells really clean in there. They're trying to use disinfectant on every surface to make sure we're safe when and if we go back. I have been bored out of my mind. I have really tried to be staying at home instead of going to the store like I used to. But then so I'm at home, I'm watching TV, I am ordering clothes and shoes online, spending money for no reason. I've been running around my neighborhood trying to exercise that way. I've been kicking a soccer ball to myself. I've been just, suddenly I just really want to be outside. I am sure you guys can relate. Again, I don't have any answers. I don't know when this is all going to be done with. But hang in there, right, guys? Hang tough. Please make sure you guys get your work done because we don't want this to disrupt our learning. Email me, text me if you have any questions, and I will keep you updated as soon as I know anything from the district. All right. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.